The day has started like any other, but by mid-morning, the faint smell of smoke that Tom noticed the previous afternoon has intensified. The team quickly realizes that a wildfire has broken out in the nearby forest. Although the sanctuary itself is not yet in immediate danger, the thickening smoke and rising tension put everyone on high alert. Sam gathers the team to discuss emergency protocols, ensuring that the animals are protected and the sanctuary remains safe. Rebecca and Ethan work to contact local authorities and fire crews, coordinating efforts and preparing evacuation plans if needed. Meanwhile, Sarah and Tom assess the sanctuary's conditions, ensuring all enclosures are secure and the animals are calm. As the wildfire edges closer, Sam takes a moment to check on the perimeter of the sanctuary. It's during this patrol that he hears faint cries coming from deeper in the smoky woods. Following the sounds, he discovers a small group of animals, a cow moose and her calf, and a small family of beavers that have been injured in the wildfire. The moose are suffering from smoke inhalation, and the beavers show signs of minor burns. But despite the chaos, Sam knows they can't leave these animals behind. Calling for Sarah's help, Sam carefully leads the injured animals toward the sanctuary. The moose struggle but manage to follow, while Sarah and Tom help transport the beavers. Once inside SPH, Sarah quickly sets up a triage area, treating the animals' injuries and keeping them hydrated and calm. The wildfire rages into the night, but thanks to the team's efforts and the coordination with local fire crews, the sanctuary is spared from major damage. By morning, the immediate danger has passed, and the team reflects on their success in keeping the animals and each other safe. As the team cares for the injured wildlife, Sam realizes that the sanctuary's mission has grown beyond its initial vision. SPH is not only a haven for its resident animals, but also a refuge for wildlife in need during crisis. Hey everyone, Simply Zoological here. I first want to start by saying welcome or welcome back. Either way, thank you for joining me for today's episode of SPH. But first, before we continue with the speed build, there's something that I need to go over with you. I am so sorry, but I completely forgot to introduce you to our Bison and Pronghorn from last week's video. So really quickly, our Bison, we have a male whose name is Hickory and two females, Holly and Rose, and they are both expecting here in the next couple of weeks. And then we have three pronghorns, well, four technically. A male, his name is Pistachio, and two females, Cola and Hazel, and then I believe Hazel has had a baby boy who I have named Chestnut. But now that you've met them, let's get back to the speed build. Thank you for watching that, and again, I am sorry for skipping out on their names in last week's video. But anyways, let's get back to today's video. So as you can see, I am currently working on the beaver pool for the backstage area for the beavers specifically. I wanted this pool because if the beavers ever needed to be kept off exhibit for any reason, they would still be able to have that access to water that they need. And then now you can see I am going to work on concreting their floor for their backstage area. And all I do for this is concrete, and then I will go in off camera with the grunge decals as per usual. But here you can see I'm starting to work on plastering their pool because I wanted this entire area to be relatively easy to clean for the staff. I decided to plaster their entire pool so that way the staff could be able to get in, clean it, drain it, all that stuff, and then still be able to refill it after they've cleaned it. So for this pool, I do go in and make two different height levels, you could say, with the plaster because the beavers won't be able to go below the plaster once it's placed. So you can see me connecting the two different levels with this ramp sort of thing. And then we'll just fill this in, and then here shortly we should be starting on their actual ramp to get from the floor to their pool, which is what you can currently see me doing now. So again, for this ramp, same thing, plaster, and then I will cover the sides and everything. And I think I've previously mentioned where I chose a ramp because I rose the water level up, because one, I hate digging into the ground in Planet Zoo because you can't ever get the terrain to smooth back out like you would want for it to. But now that we've got their pool area done, we can move on to building the actual barn. I did the pool first because I figured it would probably be harder to do than the barn itself, but I was able to get that done and out of the way relatively easy, so that was good. But here you can see for the barn, I'm using the stained wood and plaster on the interior walls and then stained wood on the exterior walls. And right here is where you can see I'm starting to kind of lay out where I would want the viewing window for the moose to be. I don't show me actually building the moose's viewing window because it's the same technique that I've used multiple times in Saguaro Sanctuary. But I do have a cinematic or two of it at the end. And then here you can see this is where I'm working on the door area for the beavers entrance. And then we are working with the roof. For this roof, I did use the Arctic wood, or the Arctic roof, as the base. And then I chose the metal clad for the actual exterior roofing, because I liked the Arctic roof support system that it comes with. It was easier to use that than create my own, and it fit this barn perfectly, and this zoo perfectly too. But anyways, now we are about to start on the door for the moose's backstage, and you can see over there where the window will be for the moose's viewing area. But for this door, I struggled for probably about, I'd say about between 30 and 45 minutes or so with the door itself, and then probably another 30 minutes just on the colors. Because the reference photo that I was using for this door had a much smaller meshed area than what I have. I tried to almost replicate it one for one, but I couldn't make the door wide enough with that small of a viewing window. Otherwise, the proportions would just look really weird. So I do opt to make the viewing window bigger, but I really like how it turned out. And for this door, I used the marquee beams for the metal support, and then everything inside is the twilight wood. And then obviously the mesh pane for the meshed window area. And because I wanted to use the twilight door framing panels for this X portion, but if you look really closely at the twilight door framing panels, they're rounded on the ends, and I wanted it to be a completely straight panel, so I had to make this door double wide to fix this outbutting that the beams do, I think is what those are, I don't know. And so we have to make the doors wide and everything, but it all turned out really nicely and I love it. And then here you can see I'm working on the fencing for the backstage, or not for the backstage, for the actual habitat itself. And for this fencing, I'm using the exact same fencing that I made for the bison and pronghorn habitat. I will leave that video linked right about now so y'all can go and see how that was built. But if you don't want to, all I did was use the climbing logs, the metal cable wires that we got in the new Zookeepers pack, plaster for the bottom, and then I added more climbing logs for the flower bed and everything. And then we'll move on to the planting. I start with the buffalo grass as the base because you can group it and then sink it all down. That's something that I haven't really done a whole lot. I've just recently started doing it, and it is a game changer on how fast you can place grass because you don't have to place it one at a time and sink it in individually, you can place it all aligned to surfaced and then sink it all down at the same time. However, you can see this bullpen that I literally copied from the Bison and Pronghorn video. I do keep it in because originally I was going to have a bull in this. It was going to be a bull and a cow, and they were going to have a calf eventually. But I was looking at it after I built it, and I was like, this is just too small a habitat for a bull moose. So I took the bull out, and our story with him is that he is on site but off display. So he's only added to the habitat for breeding purposes, which since our cow currently has a calf, we are going to wait till next breeding season to bring him back in. But so we do keep in the bullpen, but that's the story behind that. And then placing some fog grass, some nettles, some brambles, all that sort of stuff that I have under my shaded pines foliage tag. Because that's another thing that I got from Sparrow was that I think it was TNS and maybe SEZ that she did her foliage tags for. I don't know if she still does them. I would assume so, but I'm not sure. But she makes foliage tags for specific zoos, so that way all of her foliage can be under a tag and not out in a plant palette. This is her plant palette under the foliage tab, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But anyways, we're gonna add in some trees, and then I think we'll get to the rocks here in a little bit. And before I forget, let me go ahead and tell you the names of our moose and beavers for this video. So we have, like I said previously, we have 2 moose. We have a female cow, her name is Willow, and her baby girl, whose name is Maple. And then our beavers, we have a family of 4, a mom, a dad, and 2 babies. And we have a male whose name is Timber, and you'll see why in the cinematics. A female whose name is Silva, and then they have 2 baby girls named Flora and Fern. So I went with a very naturalistic sort of naming theme for these animals. I think it fits them living in the forest and all that other stuff. But anyways, make sure you stick around for the cinematics, because I believe it's all 3 different cinematics or animations that the beavers can do with this enrichment pool right here. I placed it because 1, I've never placed it before, and 2, I didn't know what animations they did, so I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And I was lucky enough to be able to get all 3 animations. And I was personally thinking that the beavers would make a literal dam with this enrichment pool that would, like clog up the water and everything. And they sort of do that, but it does reset after the 3rd animation, which you'll see in the cinematics. But anyways, that's really all I have for y'all. I will leave y'all with these last little bits of rock work and planting and everything, and then I will talk to y'all on the next one. So please make sure you leave a like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!
I don't.